All right, everyone, you are listening to the Locked On Senators Postcast edition. Unfortunately, we're not able to get Ross going here, but we're going to start this all on our own. There we are. I'm with Aleem's Martian. Aleem's Martian, how are you? Ross is trying to join as we speak. Let's see how I do driving the bus here. So, the Ottawa Senators not quite able to get a victory here. Matt Murray plays amazing. Doesn't get the shutout like we wanted, the Leems Martian, though. What's your perspective of this game? I mean, kind of a flat third period says it all, right?
Yeah, kind of a tough 2-0 loss here for the Sens tonight. Not the greatest effort offensively. I definitely feel like this was one of those games where the lack of depth was definitely showing for the Sens tonight here. So we really missed having those top two guys on the top line here tonight, I feel like. And it's really unfortunate that the boys weren't able to get Matt Murray that goal support that he so desperately deserved. Because I think he played an incredible game with 42 saves. So it's tough to see.
Tell me, looks like we got Ross here. There it is.
Can you guys hear me?
We got you.
Look at this. I can even flip myself sideways. How was the game today, boys? I'll tell you about mine in a bit, but I see 2-0. I see the empty netter. Matt Murray plays well, which we wanted to see, but just lack of offense, lack of chances. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about the flat third period. That was tough. And again, a quick game, eh, Martian? Like, this game just flew by. Not a lot of penalties, not a lot of power play time, not a lot of whistles. And is my lookout player, Jeff Carter. He gets the game winner on a nice, quick 2-on-1. You know, we were hoping Shutout would get the Sen Central bump there, but that was a bit of a tough turnover. I don't know what he was trying to do, getting that pass through the zone there, banking it off the boards. Doesn't quite make it. And then anytime Letang and Carter get set up for a quick 2-on-1 like that, two experienced vets are going to send that one home. So no chance for Murray on that one. And then the other one's an empty netter. So really, once again, you got to give stick taps to the goaltender here.
Yeah, I think Jeff Carter's a bit of a Sens killer in his career. If I'm not mistaken, his first one of his first NHL games was against the Sens, and I think he scored a hat trick, or maybe it was just one goal. But I actually was lucky enough. My cousin's buddies with him, so I was lucky enough as a young guy to go down, and I was able to meet him in his rookie season. Really nice guy, that Jeff Carter. But that's besides the point. That turnover by Shutout was definitely uncharacteristic, but I think that was definitely a product of his partner and not trusting, his options. I think maybe he saw something that, a little bit risky play for him, something that he probably wouldn't regularly do if he had somebody he can trust on his other D pairing. But I think having, himself anchored down to Nikita Zaitsev tonight was one of those things that definitely showed.
Are we going to see this change anytime soon, or is DJ going to stay stubborn? We've seen him change before when he has to, but this one, it's starting to become to a point of no return. Like, it's becoming a joke. Like, Shutout complimented Zaitsev today, and everyone's like, blink twice if you're okay, Shabby, type thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it seemed like Shutout was getting a mix of playing with Zaitsev and Brannstrom, though, eh? Like, it seemed like Brannstrom was getting a bit of that time, but, I mean, it needs to be all Brannstrom and Shutout. Like, there's no reason Zaitsev needs to be playing these kind of minutes up against other teams' top lines, and he just doesn't get it done out there like he used to. And maybe it's been a while and he's trying to get his legs back and try to get back into the game. But until he's ready, like, it seems like he just can't be given these assignments that he's had lately.
Yeah, the team it's clicking all over the place, and then that's when as soon as he's been inserted back in the lineup, it's kind of been that one little part of the game that you notice is like a little bit off. Like, Shutout is not himself when he's playing with him, and I don't know. It just feels like he's not quite up to speed yet after coming back from injury, I think. Maybe that's the case, but hopefully he can improve. Like, because ultimately we don't want to see a guy struggling as bad as he has been, because in an ideal world, since he's not really on the same timeline age-wise as the rest of the guys on the team, you'd want to see them, hopefully try to move on from him before this. He's got 2 years left on his deal, like we talked about last podcast. So, we want to be able to move on from him before, before the end of that deal. So, hopefully he can improve, and then at least they maybe get him off the books.
Yeah, getting him off the books, I think at this point would make a lot of sense, and I think a lot of Sens fans would be happy. Eugene Melnyk would be happy. That's not another guy he's going to have to look at giving bonuses. And we talked about it in a lot of games that have happened recently, how well DJ Smith has been able to manage everyone's ice time and how efficient that's been, right? Like, remember, we had a game a little while ago where no one was in single-digit minutes. This tonight, Mark Kaslick, he's the lone guy in single digits, but Thomas Chabot, his ice time's creeping back up right around 27 minutes. So I feel like that's kind of the indicator when you can tell this team doesn't fully have it. And yeah, the third period came and they just had no legs. Like, they got outshot heavily in the third period, 19-5. And for Matt Murray to keep this team in the game here, only 1-0, they get an empty net opportunity and Brian Rust gets it. Pretty damn impressive. So even though they get the loss here, Ross, I'll let you have Matt Murray as your Sens Central standout because going to be harder for you to pick anyone out. Marcia and I were saying it's going to be hard for us to pick out more than anyone, and we watched the whole game.
So here's what I'll do. Instead of picking Matt Murray, I'm going to ask questions as though people are listening to this, because you can listen to the Postcast in your car on the way to work. And if you miss the game like I did, I just have some questions. One, single digits. Was he still money in the faceoff dot tonight?
He had a good night in the faceoff dot, but not his usual. He was 44%. And just looking quickly, that's 4 for 9. But Ross, DJ Smith was putting him out there against Crosby consistently. Like Crosby was out there, and Kaslick was the guy who was taking the draw. Now it was a quick face-off and change, but still, like, to have that responsibility as a guy. Yeah, and that's why it worked out. And I think, like, anytime you're going up against Sidney Crosby as a rookie and you're doing all right, that's not bad. But if you want to talk about giving guys stick taps in the faceoff dot, Tim Stützle, 3 for 4, 75%. Now, small sample size, but hey, the numbers look good when you're hitting 75% for Timmy.
Yeah, no question. But from the sounds of it, from Sens Twitter, from just kind of catching up right there in the chat right here, like, seemed like him and Brady, maybe not their best game tonight either.
Yeah, they were both a little bit on the slower side tonight. It felt like they just couldn't really get things going. There was not a lot of offensive chances. Like, me and Pilsy were talking before we hopped on while we were waiting for you, and it was like we were trying to think of, like, what were the best chances the Sens even had tonight, and the best we could come up with was a shorthanded chance that they had where Paul, made a really great effort along the boards to dive and chip a puck and spring Gambrell on a breakaway. Actually clipped it on my Twitter account as well, but that was really like the best chance they had all night. And the casting line was basically a non-factor because it didn't seem like DJ was really trusting them to play together. Like, all three of them, he had Ennis on the fourth line with Tierney, and Casty was out there with them too. It was a weird shuffle that they had going on. Casty didn't get a lot of ice time. He's pretty not noticeable, other than those faceoffs against Crosby that Pilsy mentioned there.
Yeah, 100%. And that's fair. Like, definitely the second line, once again, they were the best line out here. Like, Nick Paul, you mentioned it. I'm going to snipe him as my Sens Central standout there, Liam Martian, because that play that he made to spring Gambrell on a breakaway, and then Formanton put Nick Paul on a partial break too, and we really saw him turn the Jets on there. Like, it's not very often you see Nick Paul use his speed, but he got ahead, and then he did a little kind of wide stance stop up and then a deke to try to get around Casey DeSmith. But I hate to do this, but we got to give stick taps to Casey DeSmith too. Like, he played a solid game, and the Sens, any chances they were able to get, he was right on them with no rebounds. So
he Michael Hauser'd up.
I know, yeah, just because he's been having a brutal season this year. So really, it was you're stoked that you're getting him instead of Tristan Jarry, and didn't work out that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, and
Michael Hauser, that's a name I don't need to hear again anytime soon.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to see a lot of backup goalies, so hopefully we don't get Michael Hauser too often here. But, Nick Paul.
Well, I'm flushing the P word out the window, guys, or down the drain.
That happened quickly.
I mean, the chances they're going to be Pittsburgh, then Boston, then at Washington, that was hard enough. But, not even a goal. That's a bit disappointing there as well, man. So I feel like I missed a good one tonight, considering like I got full entertainment value. We'll finish up wrapping this one before I get my boots on the ground scouting. It's so funny, man, watching Ridley Gregg play hockey. Pure entertainment. But no, we got to finish up on this one. So if I'm at work tomorrow and they say how the Sens game go, Pilsy, how would you respond to them tonight?
Well, Kevin, he writes here, standout for the team was not letting Crosby score his 500th goal in front of 500 fans. And I think we talked about that, right? Like Crosby sitting on 499, just don't let him get to 500. And Crosby was on a mission to get there. Like he had a bunch of really good chances. I'm just looking at his shots on goal here.
They were trying to tee him up on the power play the whole time.
Oh, yeah. He had 6 shots on goal, and a lot of those were good wrist shots, like in dangerous areas. And Matt Murray was like, nah, I think that's what Murray was telling Crosby before the game. Like, hey, I see you're at 499, but that's going to have to wait. That's not happening tonight. And he did a great job of stopping Crosby. So, You know what? Maybe the result is a 2-0 loss, but it's a victory to not allow Sidney Crosby to enjoy that moment in Ottawa because, God damn it, he's enjoyed enough good moments in Ottawa. He doesn't need another one.
Yeah, it's so pathetic, but it's understandable.
Yeah, that actually kind of segues nicely to my quick standout here,
nice.
Pilsy, because my standout is Big Josh Brown. Not a lot of guys to choose from tonight, so going with Josh Brown, he was a big part of the reason why I think Crosby was not able to stay on the score sheet. He had those defensive zone assignments, those tough ones with those guys like Rust and Gensel who can really snipe it, and he was like white on rice with those guys. He wouldn't stay off them, right? So. He was all over the place, two hits, 2 blocks. He was a really good defensive game, and he was a good stabilizing presence for Brandstrom, who I thought was actually moving pretty decently out there tonight too, despite everything that the lack of offense. So Josh Brown's my standout. Surprise, shocker, my guy.
Boy.
I gotta give him his love.
You weren't the only one. Simo, Chris Moore from Senators PR also had some stick taps for him. So hey, that's understandable. And on a night where it seemed like not really anybody had it per se, maybe except for Nick Paul being the exception there. Hey, give some shout out to Josh Brown. But I heard you guys mention Shabbat right off the bat and saying you're hoping for a Send Central bump. That doesn't happen until the episode airs. So
fair.
Hey, have a weekend. Whatever happens, happens. And maybe, so Thomas Shabbat on Locked On Senators on Monday. Not a big deal there. But on Tuesday, when he plays his 300th career NHL game, maybe he will be gifted a new D partner at practice. That would be, I think, a very nice milestone present for Thomas Shabbat here as the Senators. And they can't use this 3 games in 4 nights excuse. They just can't. Or else we're going to be saying that every other week or every week pretty much for the rest of the season. That's just how the schedule is going to be. So I don't know, man. My favorite storyline that's developed, though, through the postcast is everyone realizing that Mr. Anonymous is cute. The chat is just blowing up that Lalim's Martian is a cutie. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, DJ Stealth is a big fan of Lalim's Martian here, but I like the shortcut Martian. I think you look fresh. I mean, you're a little cutie with your toque, so we'll definitely give you that.
I'm going to be keeping my hair trimmed, I think, going forward here. I had it quite long over the the pandemic. I let it rock for a while, and I enjoyed the time I spent with it, but the short hair is working. So
save the long hair look for playoffs.
Hey, I'm gonna go with I might do something crazy. I might trim it down and dye it or something. We'll see what the chat says about that. So yeah, I mean, let's get crazy.
Frosted tips.
Yeah, well, let's let the people decide. Maybe we do a poll. We'll let them pick my hairstyle.
Man, this guy goes from anonymous to letting the fans choose how he's gonna look. What a guy!
So
hell yeah, let's do that.
When the postcast gets this off the rails after a 2-0 loss, no goals to talk about, I think it's time, fellas,
Ridley report.
To get into the Ridley Gregg experience tonight, guys. This guy, he never goes past a player who just passed the puck without giving him a little 2-hand on the wrist or on the side. He has to be in the mix. If a guy moves the puck and he's against the boards, he's going to get hit. It's truly remarkable how much of a POS this guy is on the ice. It's actually impressive. He drew 2 penalties. He took 2 penalties. He was moving well through neutral zone, and he was beaking. He was doing absolutely everything I would expect Ridley Gregg to do. And I'm going to double down with what Connor Bedard said about him. Sneaky fast through the neutral zone. This guy, he doesn't look like he's moving a whole lot, but man, he can lug the mail through middle ice. So I don't know if you boys have any questions about his game.
Are you going to give him the Jack Eichel comparison like Bedard did?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe Pavel Bure. Like, why not? Just get crazy. No, Jack Eichel's even a little bit of a stretch, but I do see a lot of Nazem Kadri in his game, a lot of it. And I know that's what Craig Button's been saying for years, but there's a reason why Craig knows his stuff. And Nazem Kadri, especially, like, there might be a time where he takes an inopportune suspension. It might not be in a preseason game next time. And the Sens are just going to have to live with it because what he brings and that whole package, you don't want to rein it in too much because it's so crucial to the DNA and how he is on the ice. So to work with him but not take that away is going to be a real challenge. And I think if there's a guy to do it, like, that's kind of how Sean Donovan played when he was in the National Hockey League. So yeah, I'm excited to see those guys work together. But man, he's hilarious. There isn't a shift where I didn't smile watching Ridley Gregg on the ice tonight.
That's amazing. I already know he's going to be, like, once he makes the Sens, like the big team, he's going to be one of my favorite players. He just plays that chippy style. And like you said, like, that's the kind of game that makes me smile too when I'm watching hockey. So I'm excited as hell for Ridley Gregg. He's going to be fun to watch for years to come for us.
And for all the draft fanatics too, Matthew Savoy, I think he had 3 points tonight. Connor Geeky, 3 points. Okay. Those guys are unbelievable. Good. And then Pillsy, a guy who we profiled last draft, Connor McLennan, smaller forward. He had a hat trick tonight as well. This Winnipeg Ice team is a complete wagon. They final score is 6-2 Ice over the Wheat Kings. No points, I don't think, for Ridley. Although, if you got points for cross-checking, you would have had about 18 tonight.
Okay, Ross, you asked for questions, and the people in the chat have given you one. Sugar Ray Emery asked, Ross, do you think he's a guaranteed center for us, or could he play higher up in the lineup on the wing?
That's a great question. I think you'd be neutering his speed a little bit, taking him out of the middle of the ice, and he was snapping him back on draws tonight too. I want to say he was well over 50%. So I think in a perfect world, there's going to be some competition here because if Norris and Stützle are your 1-2, then who's fighting for third line center between Pinto and Ridley Gregg? I think Pinto gets the inside track for me there because Ridley, you could play the wing, but man, if you go into camp next year and those are your 4 centermen, mix in some Mark Kastelich as well, why not? Let's get young. Let's get crazy. So
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having Ridley start his NHL career as a fourth liner.
No, correct. Me neither, man. He's the kind of guy who can do it. And he was out there on the first penalty kill unit, first power play unit tonight. So obviously that's junior hockey. He's the captain. He should be all situations, but he could be a fourth line penalty killing guy as a 20-year-old in the NHL and then work his way however he develops. I don't think that's crazy at all.
Now, you got the Ridley Gregg experience with him taking penalties and drawing penalties, but what about, I know you said there wasn't a whole lot of offense, but did you have any kind of flair moments at like carrying the puck up the ice, anything like that?
Really? Not really. There was a couple plays where in transition, like he'd pick the puck off in neutral ice, get a takeaway, and then turn up and get through the blue line, but no real dangerous chances. And maybe that's a bit of an eye opener, but the guy scored twice in his last game, so we're not going to hold it against him too much here. He's back in a few weeks. The Battle of Manitoba, so hey, it'll be a good one. But boys, I'm at 1%, so I'll let you guys wrap up the show here, and we'll do it again. We got 2 back-to-back afternoon games this weekend. Classic Senators.
That's going to be fun. One before the Super Bowl, too, with the Cincinnati Bengals playing Pilsy's team.
Wow.
So Pilsy's going to be warmed up for that.
I'm going to be in one. Yeah,
100%. Man, thanks for everyone for sticking with us in the chat as well, boys. Good night, and I'll chat with you tomorrow morning, Pilsy. Love y'all. Go Sens, go.
All right, see you, buddy. And that was our sideline reporter, Ross Levitan, reporting on the Brandon Wheat Kings and Winnipeg Ice game. Always great to have Ross on the show, Williams Martian?
Oh, yeah, a little boots on the ground action there, taking a page out of old Pierre Maguire's book. So I'd love to see that out of Ross. Good for him. Got to be fun. That little barn there, the ice stand, he was sending some pictures and some videos for it. Looks like a little junior B rink, hey? What's that thing sit? You think maybe 1,000 people max?
Yeah, 1,000 people max. And yeah, so that's at the University of Manitoba where they're playing now. Apparently, we got news from Ross that they're looking at building a new arena, though. So that'd be great. And Winnipeg, you got the NHL team, the AHL team, now the WHL team. So, hey, Ross is in a good spot if he wants hockey, that's for sure. So, now let's get back to this game because there was a couple other big moments. Like Matt Murray making that save on Jeff Carter on that breakaway. Like, that's how you know Matt Murray's confident, right? Because he read that play perfectly. I don't know if you guys agree, but at the start of the season or even last season when he was down in the dumps, anytime there was a breakaway chance, I was like, well, that's a goal, right? Like, you can almost see, like, he's not confident, he's not ready to challenge, and he's almost shriveling in his net. When you're a big goalie like that, you got to make yourself big. And they've talked about it on the broadcast. Noodles, obviously, a great guy to analyze
Goalie
this.
hugger.
Exactly. Yeah. And Noodles definitely tries to give Matt Murray a boost, which I appreciate. He doesn't want to kick a guy when he's down. So you got to love Noodles for that. But he was saying that he timed his backward skating perfectly so that when he stretched out to stuff Carter on that deke with the pad, there was no room left there. So that's how you know Matt Murray's playing a good game.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not a goalie. It's hard for me to kind of analyze them, but you know a good goalie when you see them because they're making saves. So, yeah, he was looking really good tonight, I thought too. He just looks like a different goalie from last year to what he is right now, and it's all about confidence. I'm convinced. Like, what do you say? What percentage again, Pilsy, is goaltending mental?
80% mental, 50% physical.
There you go.
Math guy.
Big math guy.
Yeah.
So that makes all the more sense now that you see what Matt Murray's doing right now. Like, from the start of January, like start of the year till now, he's in the
January 2nd.
He's the top 3 goalie.
Forget about the first.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 920 save percentage on the year still. So, and he's in the top 3 since the beginning of the year for goaltending statistics league wide. So that just tells you right there how well he's doing. So really good to see. If I would have seen, the last, this year's sample size worth of games, and you showed those to me and said, what do you think of this Ottawa Senators team? I probably would have been like, that's a playoff team in my opinion. So,
definitely. Yeah. And Mendez, in his article in The Athletic today, he did like I forget where he started the point from, but it was like mid-December on. Like, if you took all the teams' records in the East, including the Sens, where would they stand up? And they were in the second wildcard spot with Boston, like, just from that point on, right? Obviously cherry-picking stats, but it just goes to show you how brutal that November was. So, yeah, here, Joe saying since December 2nd, they're like 15th in the league. Exactly. So, like, they're right there in the playoff hunt if you take away that November. And I think Matt Murray deserves a lot of credit because not only is he playing good now, but the big thing is Lalines Marchand. Like, he's playing so good without so many of this team's top players. So, like, obviously the other teams are getting more chances, and vice versa, the Sens aren't getting those chances without their top guys like Norris, like Batherson, and then the other guys, Nikita Zaitsev, Brown, and Gambrell were injured for quite a while too here. So for him to be able to be like, all right, guys, the scoring is going to go down a little here. We lost some big firepower, but I'm going to shut the door here. And look, all the Sens had to do was get one, and they were in this game, right? They could have brought it to overtime easily if they score on that empty net. If Crosby doesn't get that block shot on Tim Stützle at the end, that was an incredible effort for him there.
That could have been a goal. That easily,
Definitely.
like, if he doesn't block that shot, that he's got a good look there for sure from where he was, and with the the movement across for DeSmith. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You can't win them all. I think they had a really good, solid overall effort from Murray and a few other guys, but I think the story of the game is really the Sens were missing, their firepower that they would otherwise have. Last time they were down going into the third against the Penguins, they won, and that was the only time in 18 games that they actually won a game when they were down going into the third period. So I like their odds. I live bet them.
Going into the third period.
I was super confident that they were, they can get one here, and that's all they really needed because it didn't seem like Murray was going to give up another one, and he didn't because the second goal was an empty netter. So,
yeah, and the Sens had a really good second period. Like, I thought their second period, they were creating a lot of chances. They were back and forth, and then just the third period was too much, and that's a little concerning, Martian, when you start looking at their schedule here, because we mentioned it quickly on the weekend, and we're going to get into this in tomorrow's show, obviously, but you're looking at the Boston Bruins and then the Washington Capitals back to back. And the Boston Bruins, luckily, though, no Marchand, no Bergeron, and Rask retiring. So that's like the 3 biggest reasons they've been cup contenders the last couple of years, right? So that's definitely a plus if you're the Ottawa Senators. But How do you feel about the Sens in afternoon games, Martian? Like, do you think that hinders them or helps them?
I personally, I love them. I love them as a fan. Like watching on the weekends, like usually on the weekends midday. That's just nothing better for me watching a game.
Yep.
But as far as like the team going and responding to it, it'll be interesting to see if Matt Murray starts one. That's just like an initial thought that I have. But so far this year, I think they've done pretty decently on afternoon games. Not like
The only one I can
they've
think
won.
of was that Ducks game, right?
Well, no, the other one too I was at actually, so I remember it was the Rangers game where they had the
Oh,
lead and then they Matt Murray got hurt at the end of the game and then I think Gustafsson was the goalie who came in, might have been Forsberg, whoever it was came in cold. And then Stutzla
and
got
it just all
that
fell
diving
apart.
penalty and it all fell apart from there. So like they do put up in the Ducks game, I thought they put up a good effort too. So
Yep.
they put up good efforts in the afternoon games. I think it'll just be interesting to see like if Matt Murray can hold together on the old weekends. But they got 2 back-to-back, and the Bruins are banged up, so I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun either way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if so, obviously Matt Murray's going to start one of these games. Which one do you want to get him in? Do you want to get him in right away up against Boston since he's still hot and feeling it, or do you say, hey, everybody's gassed here, let's give Murray a bit of a break and get him on Sunday game?
It's a really good question.
And the Capitals, that's a team he knows very well, right?
Yeah, I think maybe you put them up against the Capitals. I like that idea, and then I think that the softball there is definitely the Bruins because I think that, like you said, the window is probably closed right now for like contention wise as far as them like making the playoffs and giving it a good run. They might make the playoffs still this year, but I don't think they're going to do any damage with everything they have going on. There's a lot of speculation that Bergeron could possibly be done here, and so
Yeah,
as soon as we've been through that as Sens fans for sure, watching your team and have all these star players, and they all of a sudden they start dropping like flies, and they're all gone, and then you're in a all of a sudden you're in a rebuild. So good timing for the Ottawa though, because they're on the rise. Bruins are on the decline here. So I mean, to answer your question, I'd start Murray on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, that's you took a long way to get there, but we got there. And and then you look at the Bruins, no Krejci, Taylor Hall, like that was supposed to be a monumental pickup. I don't think he's been what they thought he was going to be. And Nick Foligno also not quite working out there, just like he didn't
No.
really work out for the Leafs. So yeah, that's it's going to be an interesting weekend. We're going to get all into both those games. We're going to recap tonight's game. Ross is going to watch the condensed game and give an even more detailed report of the Ridley Gregg experience. And Liam's Martian, I don't know about you, but this is going to be one hell of a weekend for me. I got a wedding on Saturday, then a big Super Bowl on Sunday. So these 12:30 games, they're going to feel.
Are you taking Monday off, Pilsy? That's what I already booked it off myself, so I am taking Monday off. But
Liam's Martian, it's the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. So no, I will we'll be here for the podcast.
I mean on Monday after the Super Bowl, and you'll be. I know you'll be on the podcast, but I guess take the work day off and relax and have a hangover. Yeah, you can do the podcast hungover. No problem.
It's going to be a lot of Gatorade drinking on Monday.
Let's
just say that. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining the Postcast. Sorry about the technical difficulties. As you guys have all probably figured out, Ross is the one that sets up all the magic. He's the one that does all the posts. So it was kind of a new experience for me to have to click all the buttons and figure out how to get this going. I'm directionally challenged when I'm driving on the road. So driving the bus in the Postcast was a whole different experience. It probably took you guys through a lot of loops and turns here, but we made it. We had a good time, even though it was a 2-0 loss here. Always vibes on the Postcast. We ride together, whether it's a win or a loss, that's the way it is. So once again, guys, thank you for joining the Locked On Senators podcast Postcast edition with Leams Martian. As always, have a good night, guys, and we'll be back for tomorrow's episode of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.